Zen Dude family. I'm gonna start calling them Zen Dude fam.
Yeah.
Zen Dude family.
You guys are more than a community, you're a family.
Yeah, and you're not really a nation. That doesn't really make that much sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a lot of...
a nation's like a country.
Wait, but we can't give up on Zen Dude Nation, though. Like, some dude came up to me the other night and was like, Zen Dude Nation, yeah.
What if we just start saying Zen Dude family? He just comes up, he goes, bro!
I know,
bro!
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And you're like,
but
yeah, you're my fam.
I think I would, I don't know, though, man. I can't change now, because when I start saying things, when I talk in, like, the snaps and stuff, I'm like, Zen Dude Nation.
What's up, nation?
It has a better, Zen Dude fam. That's cool.
Zen Dude fam?
Fam's cool.
Fam bam?
Fam bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, so you guys, this is the Zen Dude Show, and Dan and I decided that we're gonna mix it up a little bit. We're gonna do Ask the Zen Dudes, but we're also gonna just cover different topics that you guys have asked us about, and we're gonna interview really interesting people. So the goal is to make this like a really awesome audio experience. So if you're commuting, or if you're working out, or you're just going for a walk and you wanna clear your head, you can listen to the Zen Dudes for 30 minutes, get a little dose of Zen, right?
Get a little Zen'd out.
And, maybe learn something and be entertained during the process.
Yeah, and I think too, guys, we just wanted to do this because there are, like Brandon said, topics that you guys would like us to cover, and sometimes when we do Ask the Zen Dudes, we've answered a lot of questions that kind of repeatedly get asked, so we want to make sure that we're also covering topics in depth that you guys are talking about, instead of just like a minute-long answer to a question.
Yeah, if that.
If that.
If that.
Today's topic, by the way, is
meditation.
Meditation.
It's just meditation. I said it like those two words.
Mutation.
Meditation.
Mutating, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
We're gonna bring him in today. Raphael?
Nice.
Yeah, we're over here.
Nice.
Raphael.
Good.
Raphael. So we're talking about meditation, and there's a few different things that I think we want to get into today, and really the purpose of this conversation is to find out how deep you guys want us to go, because we're going to teach you a little bit about meditation, but we could actually give you guided meditations for you to listen to, post jump rope workout, or just something to use to de-stress. So if you guys really like this conversation today, comment below and let us know that you want those guided meditations.
Please.
Please,
right.
Thank you.
You want to start this off? How are we going to do this? We're going to ask each other questions, or?
Yeah, let's ask each other questions. Dan, how do you meditate?
Well, so the way that I meditate, I do a couple things. I still do the traditional, the way of, like, I'll sit down for usually 5 to 10 minutes, count my breaths 1 through 5, close my eyes, and just watch my thoughts. Now, I used to do that a lot more, but now what I pretty much do is I walk around for example, the other day I went on like a 2-hour walk. It was like 4 miles long, 4 or 5 miles. And I don't listen to any music, and I just get intensely present. I still count my breaths, do the like, that's 1, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And I just try to like get my thoughts, like I don't try and judge my thoughts, I try and just let them happen. And it really helps me to calm my mind, you know? So maybe, like, dude, maybe we should get into like, why are we having this conversation? That's the first thing. Like, what is meditation? What are the supposed benefits? Why are we talking about it?
Yeah, for sure. I thought it'd be interesting for people to hear, what do you do? And then we could talk about like, what is it? And so that's like, it's an interesting thing, because when you talk about what is meditation, people can have very different practices and have it all kind of under the meditation umbrella. And so what you heard from Dan is actually, different from what I do for meditation. And there's definitely some overlap.
What do you do?
What do I do? Well, for me, I have a few different times throughout the day that I meditate for very short periods of time. So basically what we're doing, it is like basically the same thing, but my tactic is a little bit different, right? So it's just like, it's a difference between like, we're both exercising, but like I'm maybe jumping rope and you're doing something else. So like, what I'll do is in the morning, before I get out of bed, I'm gonna sit there and I set an intention for the day. So that's like my main meditation to like start the day. And that may just be a minute long, and I'm like, today I'm going to be, and like for me today, it was just gonna be high energy. I was like, I'm just gonna bring it. I'm gonna feel good today. I'm gonna have a lot of intention with everything that I'm doing. And I kind of just went through this in my head. I was like, Brandon, this is what I expect for yourself today.
Yeah, dude, you actually woke up and you came out and you were like, yo, dude, it's Monday, and you gave me a high five,
I
bro.
did.
That was tight. I like that.
Gotta bring the heat, you know, and my high energy is not like super crazy, but it's just like, I just bring more intention into everything I do, and like make sure that everything that I'm putting my time into is, I'm fully present in it, and I'm just being focused, and I'm doing the best that I can.
Yeah.
Instead of like, you know, having mind all over the place, trying to do a bunch of different things at once. So yeah, that's my first meditation. And then sometimes I'll break up the day and I'll just sit and I'll do like 5 minutes of just like deep breathing. Basically, breathing in through the nose, out through my mouth, and I ask myself the question, what's it like to be me right now? And then just check in and see what that experience is, and then, you know, go through anything that's maybe going on. That's not something I do every single day, but, you know, I do it when I need to.
What kind of things go through your head when you ask yourself, what's it like to be me right now? Like for someone, what kind of answers or questions should maybe people be looking for when that happens?
Yeah, so if I was you, I'd just like close your eyes and feel into your body. And it's weird, like when you give yourself the space to ask that question, a lot of times you get answers that like, you're like, who said that? And it's like the truth, but like a lot of us don't give ourselves the time just to like not think. Mm-hmm. So you're not trying to think about anything, you're just like, just asking the question, what's it like to be me? And then you just feel what it feels like to be you.
Dude, you just brought up a really good point. I just want to interject. Do you know who Chris D'Elia is? The comedian?
Yeah.
Chris D'Elia has this great bit, we'll include it if we can, about how he was like, I think he's being interviewed by someone. I think it might be Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's interviewing him. And he goes, before social media, man, I used to have time where I sat in my house and thought. He's like, I haven't done that in forever. He's like, that's such an important thing as a comedian or whatever. Like, I used to not be checking Twitter all the time, and I used to just sit there with nothing and have thoughts. Mm-hmm. Like, what a crazy, you know what I mean? Like, what an important thing that is to do. I just thought I'd interject.
Oh my God. I think it's like, for me, that space and time is like the most important thing that you can have, because that's where you get clarity around like the direction to go with your life. Like literally, I live for aha moments. I think aha moments are like such a peak experience for me, to be able to just like sit in nothing, feel into my body, and then all of a sudden, boom, I have a thought. I'm like, where did that come from? Where did that thought come from? God? Universe? I don't know, came from somewhere, but now there's a thought in my head about doing something that never existed before. And then I'm like, okay, and I can go take action on it. And that's basically happening through meditation, which is just, you know, counting your, you know, just getting in touch with your breath, being quiet. And so I think that's like the overarching thing of like what meditation is. It's just being intentional about being in the present moment.
Absolutely, man. Dude, absolutely. I think it's also a great way to practice self-awareness. Like, you know, when you have something like either good going on inside you or bad going on inside of you, it's good to meditate and just catch what that is. And instead of judging it and having a feeling about it, just be like, oh man, like I just shared with you that I was standing over here doing pull-ups, and I was like, you know what, man? I feel like I was feeling a little bit creatively, like not like I was using all of my ability, but I had to like stand there and think like, why do you feel this inkling of like weirdness right now, Dan? Like you're standing on a beach, like what's going on? And then after you sit with that thought for a little bit, you realize like, oh, it's because like I want to push. I feel like I'm not pushing my boundaries enough, and I need an outlet to do that. So I think like for me, it's the self-awareness of seeing like what you're thinking and seeing how it's affecting you, and stepping back from it and being like, just admitting to yourself like, oh, okay, this is what's going on in my life. And also, dude, slowing down. I think meditation for me, as someone who has like social anxiety to a degree now, but suffered a lot more from it when I was younger, meditation basically helps you calm down. Like it helps you step back and be like, dude, it helps you look at yourself and be like, whoa, you are running at 150 miles an hour right now, being very reactionary. You know, if someone says this, like you're responding, you're in this like freaked out state of mind. And meditation is just like whoa, when you get one of those feelings, you step back before you actually do the feeling and think to yourself, like, do I need to feel this right now? Or is this just a feeling that's fleeting and it's gonna leave, you know? So I think meditation helps you step back and helps you become less reactionary.
100%. So true, man. I think the reason why like violence and like bad will and stuff like that happens a lot of times is because people are in this state of like being reactionary. You know, you've seen it implode at like a bar or something like that, where someone's like, oh, you disrespected me. But like, to be in a state of being where you could be that like violent, like a lot of shit has to have built up, you know, a lot of shit to act that impulsively. And so meditation, I feel like it takes a lot of that energy that's like built up and it helps it just kind of dissipate, you know?
For sure.
I think about like as like an artery, like if you clog an artery with fat, like eventually it's gonna clog up and you're gonna die. And I feel like there's energy that gets clogged up when you get stressed and you don't like give yourself time to find some peace. And if that clogs up too much, like you're gonna end up lashing out or like having some kind of illness or maybe emotional, but sometimes physical ailment occur as well.
Dude, absolutely, man. And I think like bottling that up, like energy needs to be released no matter what. So meditation helps you release that energy in a safe way in your own mind. You know what I mean? Like if you're feeling angry about something, then you can have the thought and feel really angry in that moment and be like, oh man, like I'm really angry right now, and just go through that feeling instead of having it build up like that and lash out. Meditation is like, I feel like quick and more productive excretions of negative energy that don't allow you to get to that built up level where you eventually explode. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. It's so important. And I think also there's like these different layers to this. So it's like what we're talking about is like something that's like a daily practice, you know, or maybe like once you deal with a lot of shit and like you know, we live like pretty low stress lives just because like we do have the freedom to exercise as much as we want. So we get to do that. We get to spend a lot of time outdoors. Like our life is pretty low stress now. It definitely wasn't in the past when we first started this business. Like we were dealing with a lot of like, just like tension and just anxiety and uncertainty. And so now like I feel like I don't need to meditate as much as I did back then, because before then I was battling a lot more. Now, you know, life is just honestly easier. So I don't have to meditate as much as I usually do. So it's like, you know, there's like this daily kind you do when like, okay, like I have to deal with some shit. And that happens like for me, like every like few days, every week. And then there's like the big sessions that I do sometimes where like something builds up over months and sometimes years. Like I had to do a huge one of these when I first really figured out like one of my blockages in life. And that one was like 45 minutes of like going in and being like, why do I feel so unsure of myself? And finding out what my core wound was and exploring that and coming out the other side, kind of having like this metaphorical like death of the old self of the old version of myself, a version of myself that was afraid and just didn't want to take risks because like there was this child inside of me that was terrified that I'd fail and that would be like death. And so there's a huge session. I think a lot of people need to, you know, start with this smaller stuff, and then as you gain more awareness, try to figure out what are the big things that are holding you back as well.
What types of people do you think should meditate? Like people who are watching this video?
I think everyone, man, in some form or another.
Like what would be the catalyst for doing so? Because some people are coming to this video super fresh, like, why are the Zen dudes talking about meditation? You know, like what's the reasoning? What are some of the reasons that might be the catalyst?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, if anyone who's battling anxiety or stress, this is like probably the best known treatment for anxiety and stress is meditation. Like there are just like a stack of studies that show this. Like this is one of the most well documented things we have in science. So first of all, anyone who falls under that umbrella for sure.
So stress meaning, like, if you're someone who works a 9-to-5 job, let's say, for example, you're at the office, you might be dealing with shit from your boss, you might have a difficult family life, you might be a student in college who's dealing with a lot of like final exams and stuff like that. We all go through some kind of like stress and pain. We're humans, guys.
You're dealing with a breakup.
We're humans, exactly. Breakup's another good one.
Yeah, I guess, dude. Thank you so much for like getting way more micro for this, because I think this is really helpful for the people. I wasn't even thinking, I was just so macro. But when you go micro, it's like, yeah, anytime you're dealing with things that make you feel negative energy or make you feel like overwhelmed, so activities like at work, like when someone talks down to you, and you think to yourself, like, who the hell is this person? Like, why are they talking to me this way? When you start to feel those feelings, like, meditation sesh, like, deal with it. If someone breaks up with you and your head's like, what's the analogy I'm looking for? Someone breaks up with you and you just feel awful.
Yeah.
Meditate, like, go deal with that. Find out where that pain is coming from. Let it dissipate. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. What are some other good ones?
In terms of,
yeah, I think it's good because a lot of people are like, I don't need meditation, but then it's because they don't know the ailment that they could be treating.
Yeah, I don't think, guys, meditation doesn't, like, the reason we're talking about this too is because you don't have to be some like hippie yoga person who like sits down and is like home and like meditates. Just understanding the principles that having your own thoughts and watching them and going through feelings, that's what meditation is. And that anyone can do and anyone should be doing, because as humans we deal with stress, we deal with a lot of mental struggles that if you just sat down and had more calm thoughts about them, they would either dissipate, or you would just be able to deal with them better so that you can live a more fulfilling life.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
I think like,
I like how like we've really got into like this treatment side of it, but what's really exciting is like there's this whole other part of meditation that's like the peak performance side. Like, we haven't even touched upon that yet, because meditation can be used for like getting rid of the shitty stuff, but can also be used just to create more awesomeness in your life.
you mean like becoming Superman?
Basically, like, everyone knows that if you study any of like the best athletes of all time, like Michael Jordan, boxers like Mike Tyson, like anyone in any sport, Olympians, they all use visualization before their events to go like see themselves creating the reality before they did it, and that is a type of meditation. You know what I mean? Like, Mike Tyson used to visualize, like, before I get in the ring, like, it's already over. I've destroyed this person. Like, the fight's over. He'd step in the ring and be like, it's already over. And if more people took that mentality into, like, their life of, like, this is a result I'm going to create today. I'm going to see it in my mind. I'm going to visualize before I start my day, and I'm going to go execute on it. You would have so much more success because your activity is so much more intentional.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, dude, what are some things that you meditate and visualize on in your own life? Like, give me your last example. Dude, something that you like were like to not to go through some shitty, to go through something like great.
So last night actually, I was thinking about sparring, and I was visualizing my last sparring experience and like what I did and how I got hit, and I was visualizing like being back in that moment again and actually like using some techniques I've learned and like landing punches and then like taking a couple steps back, landing punches, taking a couple steps back, because like before what I did was I just like rushed in hard because I didn't know what I was doing. And so I was visualizing this, and so that imprint is going to make it easier when I actually go back and I have my next sparring session.
Do you find it, one question I have is like, because I feel like people ask this a lot, when you're trying to visualize, like right there, the example, you're visualizing yourself throwing the punches, but do you also have negative thoughts creep into your head, like you getting hit because that's what happened? Or are you able to block those out?
I'm able to block them out, but it's okay for them to be there as well, you know what I mean? Like, if they're there, like, that's fine. Like, it's only because that experience, think about memories as if they're like grooves in your brain. And so if that experience is really, and that memory is really deeply rooted in, it's going to have this deep imprint in your mind. And so what you're doing is you're creating a new imprint, and that just might take time. So you may have to like visualize and see something a different way over and over and over again for it eventually to create a new groove in your brain and have that be the predominant one.
The Emperor's New Groove, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
The new groove in your brain.
Exactamente. So should we talk a little bit about giving you guys an example of like a meditation they could do for themselves?
Yeah, for sure, man. Go ahead.
I would say kind of listen to, or I guess soak in what we've shared so far in this episode, the types of meditation you could be doing, and maybe think about one that might be good for you. If you've never meditated before, like going for a walk and just counting your breaths, I feel like it's an awesome way to start because no one knows you're meditating, so you don't have to do anything weird. You're just counting your breaths as you walk, taking a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, a little belly breath action. I don't know, what do you think?
I would say like walking. The biggest thing for me, guys, is the breath action. Getting the 1 through 5 down. Also counting your breaths, because if you don't, your mind will wander and you'll start to get off into these like before you know it, your mind is in control again and you don't have any control over your ego and like separating yourself from your thoughts. So for me, like counting out those breaths is what's really important, because as long as I remind myself like, what does 2 feel like when I blow it out? I go 2. And like I look aggressively at everything around me. Like the other day I was walking on like the west side of Santa Monica and I went through this neighborhood and I remember like looking at every tree and being like 2, 3, and then a thought would come through my head and I would just watch it and be like, oh, that was interesting. Like I obviously am still hung up on that or thinking about that, and then I would keep going 4 and I would look at like the houses, the cars, like everything like that. So I would say that would be my way of doing it, getting aggressively present, bro.
Yeah, aggressively present. And so you could just sit down too and close your eyes and breathe as well. And also it's just interesting to see what is going on in your mind. A lot of people don't just listen to their thoughts. I think that's the most interesting thing, is like a lot of people go through their lives just assuming the voices in their head is them, instead of being like, wait a minute, this person in my head who's being an asshole to me right now, like, who's that? Because I wouldn't be that mean to myself, would I?
Yeah.
Like when you talk down to yourself for whatever reason about whatever shortcomings you might have, like the whole thing about playing this meditation game is being able to get better control of that voice and having it be either a positive voice or you just tell that voice to shut the hell up.
Yeah. Shut the hell up, voice.
Yeah, we don't need you coming in here.
We don't need your negativity up in here.
Jeez. No, the goal is the whole thing of Zen Dude Fitness is like Zen, like get into the present moment, be with what is now. And so that's all we're trying to get after. I think like when you're present, you feel good, because when you think about the past, you have anxiety. When you think about the future, a lot of times you have fear. So the safest bet is just to come back here and be in the present moment.
Yeah, guys, and remember, you are never going to be able to control outside circumstances. The world is always going to be externally chaotic. There's always going to be people screaming. There's always going to be assholes in Los Angeles honking their horns. But you can only control your reaction to that, and by meditating and watching your thoughts more, that helps to center you a little bit more. So when all these crazy things are happening outside of you, they can bounce off of you, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, normally I would react to that in a negative way, but I didn't, because I was able to see myself do it before it happened. And meditation is just a practice that helps you to live better and live a little bit more baseline, a little bit more calm in a chaotic world, because those places crazy.
Cray.
Yeah.
And I like to think about what Dan's talking about is getting mind gains. All right,
Mind gains.
A lot of us train our muscles.
Be my next tattoo,
right?
Mind gains.
Dude, you know what my next tattoo is? I'm gonna get back to what I was talking about. I want to get that Zen symbol now on my elbow.
Wait, which?
What's it called? It's like the paintbrush that's like almost complete. That's like the Zen symbol.
Oh, I don't think I know what you're talking about.
It's like around our logo.
Oh, yeah, the paint, like,
yeah.
That's a symbol?
Yeah, for Zen.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know it either until recently. And someone pointed out from our community.
So that's why someone made our logo like that?
Yeah. There's a lot of, it was pretty smart actually.
I didn't know that. You learn something new every day.
Yeah. It's pretty, now that you know that, it's just like, oh, pretty good job on that logo.
Yeah, at first I was like, what the hell's that?
Yeah.
I think
I'm gonna get that right here.
Nice.
Anyhow, back to the mind gains. We train our bodies so much, like physically, like obviously our channel's about jump rope. We train our bodies a lot, but I think you should be spending equal amount of intention on your mind, because your mind is a muscle too. And if you're not training it through meditation, it's becoming weak.
Yeah.
And you get in a big mind.
Yeah, don't get a big mind.
Yeah.
You know what, B? I think this was a good introductory episode to the world of meditation and getting some of those mind gains. Maybe we can call this like mind gains. We can do this on Mondays in the future.
Monday mind gains.
Yeah. But basically, guys, we want to thank you for being here with us today, talking about meditation. This is something we feel is very important because Brandon and I get asked about this a lot. It's something that we both use in our own lives a little bit differently, but still for the same principles and getting the same results. So I would encourage you guys to comment below. Let us know what questions you guys have. Let us know if there's something that we didn't cover about meditation that you would want some more information on, or anything related to getting those mental gains so that you can look better and live a happier life.
Yeah, you guys, honestly, we make our content based upon like what you ask for. So the more people who comment below and ask for more of this kind of stuff, the more we will create. So it's on you. We'll be on the lookout. If you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe, because we're making videos like this and the jump rope videos, all kinds of awesome videos to help you get lean, have fun, live an awesome life.
Zen Dude Nation.